Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. The Art of Human War, written by Catfish21 SM. War, a galactic norm. Whenever there is a disagreement between species, whether over territory, resources, or whatever else you might consider, war is the galactic problem solver. That's why we were excited to declare war on the humans. Humans were new to the galactic stage and had a very resource-rich homeworld. Due to galactic regulations, we could not declare war on another species until at least 4 conditions had been met. First, that species must have, at a minimum, colonized 2 separate systems. Second, that species must have FTL capabilities. Third, that species must not be in a position where capturing the systems being disputed would drive them to extinction. Finally, that species must have made contact and become established in the galactic community for at least as one standard measure of that species' calendar, as to give them time to acclimate to the galactic regulation. The humans had finally met the final requirement, and we have claims on their homeworld, a very resource-rich planet that will benefit our empire greatly. The humans accepted our proposal of war after thoroughly studying galactic regulations. With our advanced technology and great number of resources, we half expected the humans just to forfeit. That didn't happen. In fact, what actually happened surprised us far greater. They had the gall to go up against us with nothing more than an outdated defensive array. Now, when I say outdated, I don't mean by our standards, no. I mean even by human standards, it was outdated. They made claims on more than a dozen of our systems, but they weren't even ready to push. They were just defending, if you could even call it that. We expected at least some resistance, but the humans basically gave none. Sure, their defensive array, while outdated, was quite impressive in its size, but what would that buy them? Time? No. We would just call in reinforcements. We would barely buy them any time at all. Or so we thought. It was several weeks into the battle, and our main force had just arrived. We had several other large fleets on standby near the humans' homeworld in case they had another card up their sleeve. As soon as our fleet began discharging their weapons, we got an emergency retreat signal. At first, everyone was in panic, and they were right to be so. The humans had indeed had a card up their sleeve. That defensive array did not belong to them. It was a mesh of outdated scrap of at least a dozen other galactic empires, which made sense considering the call that was coming in. In the opposite end of our empire, we were being invaded by a fleet of one of our greatest enemies. They wanted to take back their claims that we had taken from them. The humans weren't a threat, just a claim. We left a small fleet to guard them and rushed to the main fleet and the real battle lines. After arriving though, what we found was just a destruction. Our production facilities in that region had been attacked. That would cause a small dent in our capabilities, but just a few worlds would do nothing in the long run. But then, a call came in. Another retreat order. We left another small dispatch there and retreated to another enemy invasion, and another, and another. Before long, our fleet was thin, and while our enemies were weak, they were not only working together, but they were destroying our production facilities one by one, preventing us from building new ships. We were barely able to replace the ships that we'd lost, and even then half of them were old models that we were just refitting in desperation. Meanwhile, all of our enemies were building larger and better fleets. We had never been in this kind of situation before. It was only a few years before we were pushed back to our home world, and we had finally set up our largest and most powerful defensive array ever. But that was dwarfed by the fleet that entered our system. We don't know how they coordinated so precisely, because the sheer number of ships that entered our system from dozens of different species working together produced enough gravitational flux to send our homeworld off course and soaring through dark space. At the same exact time, we got more than a dozen communications from every flagship in our system. When we answered, there was a human diplomat standing behind each one. Then one of the communications from one of the most impressive ships was just a crew of humans with an older man in charge. He began the conversation. "Surrender or die. It is against galactic regulation to take this world since it is your last. but there is no law in the Galactic Council about accidentally upsetting the very delicate gravitational balance between your world and your home star. Stuff like that happens by sheer accident all the time, you know.
We surrender.
Very good. Now let me teach you a lesson, since you seem completely ignorant about how to fight a war. There are 3 things that you must understand about war. First and foremost, big guns might be cool to look at and fun to fire. But wars are not fought with people and guns. They are fought with strategy, money, and resources. If you lack any one of those, then the size or number of your guns means nothing at all. Second, a famous human tactician from our ancient days once wrote about the art of war. His name was Sun Tzu, and one of my favorite quotes of his is, "The victorious win first and then go to war, while the defeated go to war and then try to win." Which one of those would you place yourself in, I wonder? Finally, the third thing, and probably the most important rule of war. This book was written by one of our ancient writers thousands of years ago. If someone that we consider ancient knows more about war than your greatest tacticians, then where does that leave you? Basically, what I'm saying is never provoke humans. We don't need guns to win. We will go to war, we will win, and you won't even know what happened. End of story. Story number 2. Play Stupid Games, written by Totally a Ninja. There are many rules when it comes to humanity. For the sake of others, they are often boiled down succinctly into 3 words: freedom, independence, consent. They also have a very fun saying: play stupid games and win stupid prizes. A simple saying, but an apt one. Whilst the stars host a diverse cast of cultures and beliefs, one would have failed on several notable points to truly earn the ire of humanity. Like, seriously beyond a doubt, truly and utterly, incomprehensibly foolish. Yet here we are. Some stupid, spoiled, sheltered rat from a way house got mad at a human trading vessel refusing an unfavorable trade deal with the way's favor. They understandably sought business elsewhere, but no. The Wooyi Air pushed their weight around and attempt for their independence to trade. This led to that, the vessel losing half its crew as the Wooyi tried to force them to bend through force. A total of 17 lives were lost as several failures occurred due to the act of violence, an act against their freedom to go where they wish. The survivors were enslaved, their goods seized, and their ships and sole form of escape was destroyed before their eyes. Freedom taken, independence stolen, consent ignored. Humanity behold the act of sheer stupidity, and even then gave them a way out. All you had to fecking do was to return them unharmed. Their government was willing to reimburse them for you, just so they could avoid conflict. And you spat on their hand. So they let loose the bindings on humanity. Not entirely, just a little. They didn't even need to mobilize their military. Their frankly terrifying military prowess was left to keep those who did choose to participate in line simply. You lost to volunteers who saw your actions and chose to take action themselves. Most of them probably have no relation to the people of that trading vessel. But an attack on one is an attack on all. So you had to be wiped out. Or you were supposed to be. Do you know how many favors I had to call in just to talk to you, much less request a ceasefire on you and your assets? That's beside the point. I'm here as your, and I cannot stress this enough, sole option of survival. 'Cause I can sure as hell assure you that everyone else has burned their bridge to you, of you, or even associating with you. Hell, you're so badly burned not even your rivals, the ASEC, don't want any of your, quote, now cursed territory or business. Anyway, ignoring that, as of right now, all 763 registered vessels waiting on the result of this little chat, stars know how many other unregistered, unaffiliated, and plus ones that are lurking on the side, waiting for this little meetup to end so that they can pick you clean. I represent a few allies of humanity that would rather this not permanently stain their reputation. Whilst the galaxy has only seen a fraction of what it can do, Many of my compatriots, as well as I, believe this does not have to end in the erasure of such a historical and cultural heritage. After all, it was your son's actions hiding behind that family name that caused this. It only makes sense to us to ensure it as well as your legacy, a warning to all, the fall of the great and ancient Wui house for playing stupid games. Before your answer, think carefully, as many outspoken individuals believe that only through blood debt can there be justice. Take my offer, and your family will be spared. Your title and possessions will be given to those affected. Your son will be locked away on full display. And you will forevermore mourn the tale of how your house fell under your watch due to your failure to raise your son. Remember, Law, Mr. Wui, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Now, what will your choice be? End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.